The Assembly will come to order. Chief Clerk will call the roll.
Assemblywoman Anderson, Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson, Assemblywoman Bilber Axelrod, Assemblywoman Black,
Here.
Assemblywoman Brown May, Assemblywoman Carlton, Assemblywoman Cohen, Assemblywoman Considine, Assemblywoman Dickman,
Here.
Assemblywoman Duran, Assemblyman Ellison, Assemblyman Flores, Assemblywoman Gonzalez, Assemblywoman Gorlow, Assemblyman Hafen, Assemblywoman Hanson, Assemblywoman Hardy, Assemblywoman Howdigi, Assemblywoman Kasama, Assemblywoman Krasner, Assemblyman Levitt, Assemblywoman Martinez, Assemblywoman Norzola, Assemblyman Matthews, Assemblyman MacArthur, Assemblywoman Brittany Miller, Assemblyman C.H. Miller, Assemblywoman Monroe Moreno, Assemblywoman Wynn, Assemblyman O'Neill, Assemblyman Orlicker, Assemblywoman Peters, Assemblyman Roberts, Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong, Assemblywoman Thomas, Assemblywoman Titus, Assemblywoman Tolles, Assemblywoman Torres, Assemblyman Watts, Assemblyman Wheeler, Assemblyman Wheeler, Assemblyman Yeager, Assemblywoman Gonzalez, Assemblywoman Tolles, Speaker Frierson.
Here.
Mr. Speaker, may the record reflect that Assemblywoman Tolles and Assemblywoman Gonzalez are absent excused. We have 40 members present.
There are 40 members present. There is a quorum. The Assembly will please rise for the prayer by our very own Assemblywoman Alexis Hanson.
Let us pray. Our Father who art in heaven, we are grateful to be gathered here on this beautiful spring Sabbath day. The Sabbath day is a reminder that we live in a great nation where our religious freedom to worship how, where, or what we may is protected. On this Memorial Weekend, we are indeed grateful and humbled by those in the military and their families who have given the ultimate sacrifice to preserve our great nation and the freedoms that we have, which also enables us to stand here today as representatives in our republic for our constituents. Let us never forget our veterans' sacrifices and their families. In these closing days of this legislative session, please help us to be able to discern truth from error. Help us to be aware of our own weaknesses and our blind spots when dealing with others and legislation. Help us to strive to put public service ahead of self-interest. And please bless our hardworking staff for all their dedicated work and preserving the dignity and tradition of this institution with their professionalism. We humbly offer up these words of gratitude and petitions for assistance. In the name of our Redeemer, Jesus Christ, amen.
Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge Order Business 2, reading and approval of the Journal.
Carson City, Saturday.
Mr. Speaker.
Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to dispense with further reading of the Journal and authorize the Speaker and Chief Clerk to make necessary corrections or additions.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Go to Order Business 4, reports to standing committees.
Mr. Speaker, Committee on Judiciary, to which was referred Senate Bill 147, is at the same under consideration and begs leave to report the same back with the recommendation. Amendment due pass as amended. Steve Yeager, Chair.
Order Business 7, messages from the Senate.
Senate Chamber, Carson City, May 29, 2021. To the Honorable the Assembly, I have the honor to inform the Honorable Body that the Senate on this day passed Assembly Bills 451, 453, 454, 455, 456, 457, 458, 461, 462, 465, 466, 467, 469, 470, 474, 475, 477, 482, 484, 485. And I have the honor to inform the honorable body that the Senate amended and on the state passed as amended Assembly Bill 40, Amendment 811, Assembly Bill 67, Amendments 538, 768, and respectfully request your honorable body to concur in said amendments. And I have the honor to inform the honorable body that the Senate on this day concurred in Assembly Amendment 805 to Senate Bill 410, and I have the honor to inform the honorable body that the Senate on this day passed as amended Senate Bill 164. Sherry Rodriguez, Assistant Secretary of the Senate.
Assemblywoman Benita Thompson, you got order business 1.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order business 1. May the record reflect that Assemblywoman Gonzalez is present.
Record shall so reflect. We now go to order of business 8, motions, resolutions, and notices.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 3, introduced by Assemblyman Peters and Watts, requiring the Legislative Commission to appoint an interim committee to conduct a study concerning environmental justice. Resolved that this resolution becomes effective upon adoption. End of resolution.
Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that we read and adopt ACR 3.
Assemblywoman Miller has moved. Assembly read and adopt. Assembly concurrent resolution number 3. Remarks?
Yes, it requires the Legislative Commission to appoint an interim committee to conduct a study concerning environmental justice.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly adopting Assembly concurrent resolution number 3 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay. Nay.
Motion carries. The resolution is adopted. Order to resolution file. No other order business 8. We'll go to order business 12, general file and third reading. All right, skip order business 9, introduction and first reading.
Senate Bill 164, introduced by Senator Scheibel et al., Assemblyman Wynn et al., enacting to crimes, revising provisions relating to prostitution and providing other measures properly named thereto.
Assemblywoman Benita Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Senate Bill 164 be referred to your Committee on Judiciary.
Without objection, so referred. We'll go to order business 12, general file and third reading. Assemblywoman Benita Thompson, order business 8.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Senate Bill 325 and Senate Bill 428 be taken from the place in general file and be placed to the top of general file for the purposes of amendment.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Go back to order business 12.
Mr. Speaker, under Order Business 8.
Order business 8.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I could add to that one more, SB 353.
Assemblywoman Benita Thompson moved that SB 353 be moved to the top of general file for the purpose of amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Go back to order business 12.
Senate Bill 353, introduced by the Committee on Education, enacting to education, requiring the Department of Education to review examinations and assessments for certain information, requiring the Department to adopt regulations that prescribe certain limitations on examinations and assessments, authorizing the Board of Trustees of a school district or the governing body of a charter school to request a waiver from the State Board of Education for certain limitations, authorizing the State Board to grant a waiver in certain circumstances, making an appropriation and providing other measures properly thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 4, end of Section 4, end of bill.
Are there amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
Amendment 827, proposed by Assemblywoman Miller.
Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that we adopt Amendment 827 to Senate Bill 353.
Assemblywoman Miller has moved that the Senate adopt Amendment 827 to Senate Bill 353. Remarks?
Yes, the amendment offers clarifying language to what we're directing the department to do.
Any further remarks? Seeing none, all those in favor of the Assembly adopting Amendment 827 to Senate Bill 353 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The amendment is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Bills ordered general file.
Senate Bill 147, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary, an act relating criminal procedure authorizing a victim to request that a court issue an order imposing a condition of release that prohibits the contact or attempted contact of certain persons, requiring the court to consider such a request, establishing provisions relating to the expiration and renewal of an order imposing a condition of release that prohibits the contact or attempted contact of certain persons, requiring a copy of an order imposing a condition of release that prohibits the contact or attempted contact of certain persons to be transmitted to the Central Repository for Nevada Records of Criminal History, providing that a person who knowingly violates any such order may be punished or for unlawful trespass and dealt with for contempt of court, revising the acts constituting unlawful trespass, providing penalty, making an appropriation, and providing the most appropriate lane thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 5, end of Section 5, end of bill.
Any members to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
Amendment 837, proposed by the Assembly Committee on Judiciary.
Assemblyman Yeager.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the Assembly adopt Amendment 837 to Senate Bill 147.
Assemblyman Yeager's moved. The Assembly adopt Amendment 837 to Senate Bill 147. Remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The amendment provides that the court must notify a person of the consequences of a violation of an order, provides that a person who knowingly violates an order imposing a condition of release prohibiting contact is guilty of a misdemeanor, and it also adds new language regarding when the prosecutor decides not to prosecute a case.
Any further remarks? Seeing none, all those in favor of the Assembly adopting Amendment 837 to Senate Bill 147 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay.
Aye.
Motion carries. The amendment is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Bills ordered general file.
Senate Bill 194, introduced by Senators Lang et al., an act relating to education establishing the State Seal of Civics program, requiring the Superintendent of Public Instruction to establish criteria for certain designations related to civics, requiring a public high school to report certain test results to the Department of Education, requiring instruction provided in social studies to include civics and a service learning project, requiring that various communities be included in the standards of content and performance for ethnic and diversity studies, and providing a marriage program thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 13, end of Section 13, end of bill.
Any members to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
I have Amendment 828, proposed by the Assembly Committee on Education.
Assemblywoman Bilber Axelrod.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to adopt Assembly Amendment 828 to Senate Bill 194.
Assemblywoman Bilber Axelrod's moved. The Assembly adopt Amendment 828 to Senate Bill 194. Remarks?
Amendment 828 revises the score required on the civics exam from at least 85% to at least 90%, adds provisions requiring Nevada's Department of Education to develop a model rubric for the required service learning project in Section 3, and deletes subsection 5 of Section 9.
Any further remarks? Seeing none, all those in favor of the Assembly adopting Amendment 828 to Senate Bill 194 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion
Nay.
carries. The amendment is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
The bill's ordered general file.
Senate Bill 325, introduced by Senator Settlemeyer, an act relating to health care, requiring the State Board of Pharmacy to prescribe a protocol authorizing a pharmacist to prescribe and dispense drugs to prevent the acquisition of human immunodeficiency virus, and perform certain laboratory tests, requiring certain health plans to include coverage for such drugs and testing, and providing the most appropriate thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 22, end of Section 22, end of bill.
Any members to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
I have Amendment 819, proposed by the Assembly Committee on Commerce and Labor.
Assemblywoman Howdigy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the Assembly adopt Amendment 819 to Senate Bill 325.
Assemblywoman Howdigy has moved. The Assembly adopt Amendment 819 to Senate Bill 325. Remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The amendment authorizes a pharmacist who meets the requirements prescribed by the board pursuant to subsection 2 to administer as well as prescribe and dispense a drug described in subsection 1A of Section 1, as well as other conforming changes.
Any further remarks? Seeing none, all those in favor of the Assembly adopting Amendment 819 to Senate Bill 325 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Amendment is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Bill's ordered general file.
Senate Bill 428, introduced by the Committee on Finance, making appropriations to the Nevada Highway Patrol Division of the Department of Public Safety for the replacement of vehicles and motorcycles and certain equipment, and providing other matters properly laid thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 8, end of Section 8, end of bill.
Any members to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
I have Amendment 832, proposed by the Assembly Committee on Ways and Means.
Assemblywoman Carlton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would move for the adoption of Amendment 832 to Senate Bill 428.
Assemblywoman Carlton moved that Assembly adopt Amendment 832 to Senate Bill 428. Remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It deletes Section 3 in reference to the appropriation for oral fluid mobile analyzers and cartridges.
Any further remarks? Seeing none, all those in favor of the Assembly adopting Amendment 832 to Senate Bill 428 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The amendment is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
The bill's order general file. Assemblywoman Bedinez Thompson, Order of Business 1.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under Order Business 1, may the record reflect that Assemblywoman Tolles is present.
Record shall so reflect.
Mr. Speaker, under Order Business 8.
Order of Business 8.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to move some of our budget implementation Senate bills to the top to make sure that we get those done. So I move that Senate Bill 310, 416, 417, 424, 428, 430, 431, 432, 433, 434, 435, 441, 445, 449, 450, and 457 be taken from their place on general file and be moved to the top of general file.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
One more Order Business 8, Mr. Speaker.
Order of Business 8.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Senate Bill 386 be taken from its place in general file and be moved to the tippy top of general file.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Go back to Order of Business 12.
Senate Bill 386, introduced by the Committee on Commerce and Labor, an act relating to employment practices requiring certain employers to provide certain employees with written notices containing certain information in the event of a layoff, requiring an employer to retain certain information relating to a laid-off employee, requiring an employer to offer certain job positions to a laid-off employee under certain circumstances, prohibiting an employer from taking certain adverse actions against certain persons, authorizing civil actions and actions by the Labor Commissioner to enforce certain provisions, providing for the severability of certain provisions by a court under certain circumstances, revising certain requirements for regulations relating to public accommodations facilities and SARS-CoV-2, which must be adopted by the Director of the Department of Health and Human Services, and providing other matters pertaining thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 29, end of Section 29, end of bill.
On the amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
There are none.
Remarks? Assemblywoman Carlton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 386 relates to the employment and the declaration of emergency for COVID-19. It requires certain employers who laid off employees because of the declaration of the emergency to offer job positions to those employees under certain conditions. The bill prescribes an order of preference that the employer must follow when extending a job offer to such employees, and it also requires those employers, in the event of a layoff, to provide an employee who is to be laid off with a written notice containing certain information concerning the layoff. It prohibits the employer from terminating, reducing compensation, refusing to employ, or otherwise taking any adverse action against a person who takes certain actions in relationships to the provisions of the bill. As an aggrieved employee who establishes certain requirements may file a complaint with the Labor Commissioner or bring a civil action in court. The bill sets forth certain standards for establishing and rebutting certain presumptions concerning violations of the provisions of this bill in such an action, and specifies certain awards that may be granted to an aggrieved employee who prevails in such action. This bill also establishes minimum labor standards and does not preempt or prevent employment standards that are more protective and beneficial for employees, nor does the bill supersede any employee's right to recall pursuant to a collective bargaining agreement. In addition, the bill revises provisions requiring the Director of the Department of Health and Human Services and the District Boards of Health to adopt regulations prescribing requirements to reduce and prevent the transmission of the virus that causes COVID-19 in public accommodation facilities such as hotel casinos, resorts, hotels, motels, hostels, bed and breakfast facilities, and similar facilities. Finally, the bill provides that the regulations adopted by the Director and District Boards of Health to reduce and prevent COVID-19 transmission must be amended to reflect the new requirements, and the provisions in the regulations that conflict with this bill are unenforceable. Order of Business 15.
Order of Business 15.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill was so has gotten such a light shined on it in this legislative body that I felt it important to make sure that the floor statement was actually very, very clear so that there is a distinct legislative record. I said in the committee, and I'll say again for the body so it's part of our record, this bill protects the people that built this state. They're the economic engine of Las Vegas. The day that they were all told to stay home from work was probably one of the worst days in the history of Clark County. We saw grass growing up in the cracks going down the Las Vegas Strip because no one was driving down it. 2 days later, all of them were at food pantries and all looking for rental assistance because we literally shut down this state's industry for the right reason, I might add. We protected a lot of people by doing it. It was the right thing to do. And this is the right thing to do, that those employees that were good employees the day they were told to stay home are the same employees that get to get their job back if they want it back. So this protects everyone in the system. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Further remarks, Assemblywoman Kasama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order of Business 15.
Order Business 15.
Thank you. I rise in opposition to SB 386. I'm pleased to see a compromise, but I have reservations with this legislation. Small business is traditionally defined as 50 employees or less. The 30-employee number seems arbitrary, and this bill will make the hiring process harder and create new risk of potential lawsuits. It is a burden on our small businesses. I am voting no and urge all of my colleagues to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the room.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 386?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Any more wishing to change their vote? There are 26 ayes, 16 nays. Bill having received the constitutional majority, I declare passed and order transmitted to the Senate.
Senate Bill 310, introduced by Senator Neal, enacting the State Financial Administration, making an appropriation to the Nevada System of Higher Education, and authorizing the disbursement of certain federal money in certain circumstances to enable the College of Southern Nevada to assist and carry out the Nevada Grow Program and providing other measures relating thereto. The people of the State of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 5, end of Section 5, end of bill.
All right, members to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the room.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 310?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 36 ayes, 6 nays. Bill having received the constitutional majority, I declare passed and order transmitted to the Senate.
Senate Bill 416, introduced by the Committee on Finance, an act making appropriations to the Department of Taxation for the replacement of information technology hardware and software and printers and providing the most appropriate thereto. The big State of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 5, end of Section 5, end of bill.
Any amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the room.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 416?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 36 ayes, 6 nays. Bill having received the constitutional majority, declared passed and order transmitted to the Senate.
Senate Bill 417, introduced by the Committee on Finance, an act making appropriations to and authorizing expenditures of money by the Nevada Supreme Court for certain statewide technology systems for trial courts and providing other matters properly laying thereto. The people of the State of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 3, end of Section 3, end of bill.
All right, members to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the room.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 417?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 37 ayes, 5 nays. Bill having received the constitutional majority, declare passed and order transmitted to the Senate.
Senate Bill 424, introduced by the Committee on Finance and Act relating to Public Health, creating the Public Health Resource Office within the Office of the Governor, providing for the appointment of the Public Health Resource Officer, prescribing the duties of the Public Health Resource Office, making appropriations and providing other matters properly laying thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 3, end of Section 3, end of bill.
Are any members to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 424?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 34 ayes, 8 nays. Bill MC, the Constitutional Majority, declare passed and order transmitted to Senate.
Senate Bill 428, introduced by the Committee on Finance, an act making appropriation to the Nevada Highway Patrol Division of the Department of Public Safety for the replacement of vehicles and motorcycles and certain equipment, and providing other matters properly laying thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 8, end of Section 8, end of bill.
Are any members to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 428?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 39 ayes, 3 nays. Bill MC, the Constitutional Majority, declare passed and order transmitted to Senate.
Senate Bill 430, introduced by the Committee on Growth and Infrastructure, an act relating to infrastructure, revising provisions governing the establishment of the Nevada Infrastructure Bank, revising provisions governing eligibility to receive loans and other financial assistance from the bank, expanding the types of projects for which financial assistance from the bank is available, revising provisions governing the membership duties and powers of the Board of Directors of the bank, authorizing certain governmental agencies to provide technical advice, support, and assistance to the bank, and providing other matters properly laying thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 22, end of Section 22, end of bill.
Are the members to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 430?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 38 ayes, 4 nays. Bill MC, the Constitutional Majority, declare passed and order transmitted to Senate.
Senate Bill 431, introduced by the Committee on Finance, an act making appropriations to and authorizing expenditures of money by the Nevada Supreme Court for the replacement of computer hardware and software, and providing other matters properly laying thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 9, end of Section 9, end of bill.
Are any members to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 431?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 38 ayes, 4 nays. Bill MC, the Constitutional Majority, declare passed and order transmitted to Senate.
Senate Bill 432, introduced by the Committee on Finance, an act making appropriations to and authorizing expenditures by the Office of the Military for maintenance projects at certain facilities and the replacement of computer hardware and software, certain equipment and shop tools, and providing other matters properly laying thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 4, end of Section 4, end of bill.
Are any members to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 432?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 39 ayes, 3 nays. Bill MC, the Constitutional Majority, declare passed and order transmitted to Senate.
Senate Bill 433, introduced by the Committee on Finance, an act making appropriation to the Division of Public and Behavioral Health of the Department of Health and Human Services for maintenance and repairs and the replacement of certain equipment at certain facilities operated by the division that provide mental health services, and providing other matters properly laying thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 8, end of Section 8, end of bill.
Are any members to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 433?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 39 ayes, 3 nays. Bill MC, the Constitutional Majority, declare passed and order transmitted to Senate.
Senate Bill 434, introduced by the Committee on Finance and Act, making an appropriation to the Office of Finance and the Office of the Governor for the construction of a medical school at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and providing other means appropriate thereto. The people stated that are represented in Senate and Assembly. Do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1. Section 2, end of Section 2, end of bill.
Are any members for Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 434?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes.
No.
Excuse me? Assemblywoman Dickman?
We're good, thank you.
I'm not clear on what your vote is. Did you vote yes or no on Senate Bill 434?
I did vote yes. You had a no at first. That's why I'm sorry.
Okay.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 37 ayes, 5 nays to be allowed to see the constitutional majority. Declare pass and order transmitted to the Senate.
Senate Bill 435, introduced by the Committee on Finance and Act, making appropriations to the Office of Finance and the Office of the Governor for the costs associated with the replacement of the Advantage Financial and Human Resources System and the Enterprise Resource Planning System and furnishings for the Operations Center for the system and providing the means appropriate thereto. The people stated that are represented in Senate and Assembly. Do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1. Section 5, end of Section 5, end of bill.
Are any members for Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 435?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 32 ayes, 10 nays to be allowed to see the constitutional majority. Declare pass and order transmitted to the Senate.
Senate Bill 441, introduced by the Committee on Finance and Act relating to taxation, revising provisions governing the issuance of permits for sellers of tangible personal property and providing other measures appropriately thereto. The people stated that are represented in Senate and Assembly. To enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1. Section 21, end of Section 21, end of bill.
Are any members for Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 441?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 26 ayes, 16 nays to be allowed to see the constitutional majority. Declare pass and order transmitted to the Senate.
Senate Bill 445, introduced by the Committee on Finance and Act relating to state purchasing, prohibiting certain provisions in certain contracts, revising provisions relating to advertisements for certain bids or proposals, revising certain requirements relating to the purchase of prescription drugs, pharmaceutical services, or medical supplies from an entity other than the purchasing division, revising the authority of the clerk of the State Board of Examiners to approve certain contracts, and providing other measures appropriately thereto. The people stated that are represented in Senate and Assembly. Do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1. Section 7, end of Section 7, end of bill.
Are any members for Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 445?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 37 ayes, 5 nays to be allowed to see the constitutional majority. Declare pass and order transmitted to the Senate.
Senate Bill 449, introduced by the Committee on Finance and Act relating to outdoor recreation, transferring the duty to develop and administer the outdoor education and recreation grant program from the Administrator of the Division of State Parks of the State Department of Conservation and Natural Resources to the Administrator of the Division of Outdoor Recreation of the Department, and providing other measures appropriately thereto. The people stated that are represented in Senate and Assembly. Do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1. Section 5, end of Section 5, end of bill.
Are any members for Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 449?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 36 ayes, 6 nays to be allowed to see the constitutional majority. Declare pass and order transmitted to the Senate.
Senate Bill 450, introduced. It's an emergency request of the Senate Majority Leader, introduced by Senators Canizaro et al., Assemblyman Farnerson et al., and relating to school facilities, temporarily authorizing the Board of Trustees of school districts with prior voter approval to issue general obligation bonds in certain circumstances, temporarily revising provisions governing the transfer of certain revenue to and the fund for capital projects of such a school district, and providing in the managed property line thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 2, end of Section 2, end of bill.
Are any members of Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 450?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 31 ayes, 11 nays. Bill having received the constitutional majority, declare passed and order transmitted to the Senate. Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under Order Business 8, I've got a couple more I need to get up to the top there. So I move that Senate Bills 55, 442, 453, and 456 be taken from their place in general file and be placed to the top of general file.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Go back to Order Business 12.
Senate Bill 55, introduced by the Committee on Commerce and Labor, and relating to employee leasing companies, transferring the duties for the licensing and certain regulation of certain companies which lease employees from the Administrator of the Division of Industrial Relations of the Department of Business and Industry to the Labor Commissioner, authorizing the Labor Commissioner to impose administrative penalties and providing other measures appropriate thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 20, end of Section 20, end of bill.
All right, members of Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 55?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 31 ayes, 11 nays. Bill having received the constitutional majority, declare passed and order transmitted to the Senate.
Senate Bill 442, introduced by the Committee on Finance, and relating to energy, prohibiting the Director of the Office of Energy from altering or amending the green building rating system after a certain date, prohibiting the Director from accepting new applications for property tax abatements for certain buildings and structures which meet certain energy efficiency standards, prospectively eliminating the requirements for the Director to adopt a green buildings rating system and grant such property tax abatements, and providing other matters properly in thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 4, end of Section 4, end of bill.
Are any members of Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? Assemblywoman Kasama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 442, in its first reprint, prohibits the Governor's Office of Energy from accepting an application for a partial abatement of certain property taxes for a building or other structure that meets certain energy efficiency standards under the Green Building Rating System adopted by the Director of the Office on or after July 1st, 2021. The bill additionally prohibits the Director from altering or amending the Green Building Rating System after July 1st, 2021, and requires that the standards and ratings in effect on that date remain in effect. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 442?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Black has voted yes. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 42 ayes, 0 nays. Bill having received the constitutional majority, declare passed and order transmitted to the Senate.
Senate Bill 453, introduced by the Committee on Finance, and relating to financial services, authorizing the Commissioner of Financial Institutions in furtherance of his or her duties or the duties of the Division of Financial Institutions of the Department of Business and Industry with respect to the issuance and renewal of certain licenses and certificates to participate in the nationwide multi-state licensing system and registry, authorizing the Commissioner to take certain actions relating to participation in the registry, revising the requirements for applicants for certain licensees or certificates issued by the Commissioner and by the Division, revising provisions relating to the expiration and renewal of certain licenses or certificates issued by the Commissioner and by the Division, requiring the holders of certain licenses or certificates issued by the Commissioner to submit certain reports to the registry, and providing other measures appropriately thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 92, end of Section 92, end of bill.
Are any members of Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the chief clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 453?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Black has voted yes. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote? Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 42 ayes, 0 nays, but that received the constitutional majority. Declare pass and order transmitted to the Senate.
Senate Bill 456, introduced by the Committee on Finance and Act relating to Public Health, transferring the State Dental Health Officer from the Division of Public and Behavioral Health of the Department of Health and Human Services to the Division of Healthcare Financing and Policy of the Department, revising provisions governing the supervision of persons who hold a restricted license to practice dentistry at certain facilities, and providing the most appropriate thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 5, end of Section 5, end of bill.
Are the amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, chief clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 456?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Black has voted yes. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 42 ayes, 0 nays, but that received the constitutional majority. Declare pass and order transmitted to the Senate. Assemblywoman Benita Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've got a next group ready. So I move that Senate Bill 454, 205, 210, 211, 219, 236, 318, and 340 be taken from their place on general file and be moved to the top of general file.
Under order of business 8, you've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Go back to order of business 12.
Senate Bill 454, introduced by the Committee on Finance and Act relating to Agriculture, requiring an applicant for the recording or re-recording of a brand or brand and marks or marks to pay a certain fee, authorizing the State Department of Agriculture to establish and collect certain other fees, increasing certain periods for the re-recording of brands and marks from 4 years to 5 years, requiring certain applications to be submitted electronically or in writing, requiring certain notices to be sent electronically or in writing, requiring the Department to furnish certain owners with an electronic copy of certain certificates, and providing the most appropriate in thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 3, end of Section 3, end of bill.
Are the amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, chief clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 454?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 35 ayes, 7 nays, but I haven't seen the constitutional majority. I declare pass and order transmitted to the Senate.
Senate Bill 205, introduced by Senator Dennis, and Act relating to public safety, exempting certain water heaters from the standards that an owner of a boiler must comply with, authorizing the Division of Industrial Relations of the Department of Business and Industry to adopt regulations establishing requirements relating to equipment and apparatuses used in connection with water heaters, requiring the division to revise its regulations to conform with the exception of certain water heaters and providing the village property lane thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 3, end of Section 3, end of bill.
Are the amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, chief clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 205? Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 205?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Black has voted yes. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 42 ayes, 0 nays, but I haven't seen the constitutional majority. Declare pass and order transmitted to the Senate.
Senate Bill 210, introduced by Senator Don Loop, and Act relating to child welfare, requiring the development of a plan for the education of certain children admitted by the court to a psychiatric hospital or facility which provides residential treatment for mental illness, requiring a school district providing services to such a child to submit certain programs and plans to the psychiatric hospital, requiring a school district providing services to a child admitted to a facility which provides residential treatment for mental illness to monitor the progress and participate in transition planning for the child, requiring a school district providing services to a child who is admitted to a facility which provides residential treatment for mental illness to convene certain meetings before admission of the child to the facility, requiring the Department of Education to adopt regulations relating to the transition from a facility which provides residential treatment for mental illness to a school or other educational setting after discharge, and providing other measures properly laid thereto. The people stated that are represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 7, end of Section 7, end of bill.
Are there amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks, Assemblywoman Krasner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 210 requires a psychiatric hospital or residential mental health treatment facility to which a child with an emotional disturbance is admitted to develop a plan for continuing the child's education in consultation with the school in which the child was most recently enrolled, the school district, the agency providing child welfare services, and any person responsible for the child's education. Additionally, SB 210 requires the school district in which the child was enrolled to monitor the child's progress in a facility and participate in the discharge planning for transitioning the child into the educational setting. Thank you.
Any further remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 210?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Black has voted yes. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote on Senate Bill 210?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 42 ayes, 0 nays. The bill having received the constitutional majority declared passed and order transmitted to the Senate.
Senate Bill 211, introduced by Senators Harris et al., an act relating to public health requiring certain providers of emergency medical services in a hospital or primary care to consult with certain patients as to whether they wish to be tested for sexually transmitted diseases, requiring such a provider to test a patient who wishes to be tested or assist a patient in obtaining a test where practicable and medically indicated, requiring a hospital to ensure the performance of such consultation and testing under certain circumstances, authorizing the imposition of discipline against a hospital or provider for certain violations, making an appropriation, and providing other measures properly thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 7, end of Section 7, end of bill.
Are there amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 211?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 36 ayes, 6 nays. Bill having received the constitutional majority declared passed and order transmitted to the Senate.
Senate Bill 219, introduced by Senator Canizaro, an act relating to offenses, revising provisions relating to collection of delinquent fines, administrative assessments, fees, and restitutions, revising provisions relating to suspension of a driver's license of a person, making an appropriation, and providing other measures properly laid thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 6, end of Section 6, end of bill.
Are there amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 219? Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 219?
No.
Assemblywoman Black
No.
has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 34 ayes, 8 nays. Bill having received the constitutional majority declared passed and order transmitted to the Senate.
Senate Bill 236, introduced by Senators Harris and Spearman, an act relating to public safety, requiring law enforcement agencies to establish early warning systems to identify peace officers who display bias indicators or other problematic behavior, establishing provisions relating to the recording, collection, and review of information concerning traffic stops made by law enforcement officers, imposing certain duties on the Department of Public Safety and law enforcement agencies regarding the recording, collection, and review of such information, authorizing the department to adopt regulations relating to the recording, collection, and review of such information, requiring the Legislative Commission to appoint a committee to conduct an interim study relating to the establishment of crisis response call centers and providing other measures properly laid thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 25, end of Section 25, end of bill.
Are there amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote on Senate Bill 236?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no. Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 236?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 27 ayes, 16 nays. Bill having received the constitutional majority, I declare passed and order transmitted to the Senate.
Senate Bill 318, introduced by Senators Doñate et al., Assemblyman Flores et al., an act relating to public health requiring the Division of Public and Behavioral Health of the Department of Health and Human Services and each district health department to take certain actions to ensure the availability of services to restrain the spread of COVID-19 to persons of limited English proficiency, requiring each agency of the executive department of the state government to develop a language access plan, requiring such an agency to make recommendations to the legislature concerning the language access plan and including the budget of the agency funds necessary to carry out the language access plan and providing other means appropriately thereto. The people's state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 11, end of Section 11, end of bill.
Are any members to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 318?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 34 ayes, 8 nays. Bill having received the constitutional majority, I declare passed and order transmitted to the Senate.
Senate Bill 340, introduced by Senators Neal and Doñate, an act relating to employment requiring the Director of the Department of Health and Human Services to establish a home care employment standards board under certain circumstances, prescribing the membership of a home care employment standards board, requiring such a board to conduct an investigation into certain matters relating to the employment of home care employees, requiring such a board to develop recommendations concerning the minimum wage for home care employees or the working conditions of such employees, authorizing the director to adopt regulations implementing such recommendations, revising provisions governing the administration and enforcement of provisions governing the minimum wage paid to employees in the state, providing penalties, making appropriations, and providing other matters appropriately thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 28, end of Section 28, end of bill.
Are any members to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 340?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 26 ayes, 16 nays. Bill having received the constitutional majority, I declare passed and order transmitted to the Senate.
Mr. Speaker, order business 8.
Order business 8.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under order business 8, I move that Senate Bill 457 be taken from its place on general file and be put to the bottom of general file.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Mr. Speaker, under order business 8 again, I move that Senate Bill 443 and Senate Bill 254 be taken from their place in general file and be moved to the top of general file.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Go back to order business 12.
Senate Bill 443, introduced by the Committee on Finance and Act relating to Agriculture, defining certain terms that apply to standards that govern seeds, revising the definition for certifying agency, requiring certain containers of seeds to bear or have attached a sell-by date which contains certain information, requiring containers for seeds of agricultural crops to include certain additional information if the seeds are coded, and providing other matters properly thereto. The people's state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 17, end of Section 17, end of bill.
All right, members to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 443?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 26 ayes, 16 nays. Bill having received the constitutional majority, declare passed and order transmitted to the Senate.
Senate Bill 254, introduced by Senator Neal, an act relating to discriminatory practices, revising various provisions relating to discrimination in housing, providing civil penalties and other remedies for certain violations, authorizing the Nevada Equal Rights Commission to enter into certain agreements with the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for the Commission to investigate and enforce laws relating to fair housing as a certified agency under federal law, providing that certain conduct relating to seeking an application applicant or tenant's arrest record, conviction record, or record of criminal history constitutes an unlawful discriminatory practice in housing and providing other means appropriately in thereto, the people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 45, end of Section 45, end of bill.
Any members to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? There being none, Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Black, how do you vote on Senate Bill 254?
No.
Assemblywoman Black has voted no. Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 24 ayes, 18 nays. Bill 11 the Constitutional majority. I declare passed and order transmitted to the Senate.
Mr. Speaker, if we could go to order business 13 now.
Go to order business 13.
And chairs who have business here, you can just throw on your lights.
Assemblywoman Carlton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under order of business 13, may we go to order of business number 13 for concur, not concur for the purposes of considering Assembly Bill 460.
We will consider Assembly Bill 460.
Assembly Bill 460, introduced by the Committee on Ways and Means, an act making an appropriation to the Division of Museums and History of the Department of Tourism and Cultural Affairs to restore the school bus program, to reimburse transportation costs for public school students to visit state museums, and providing other measures appropriately in there too. I have Amendment 812 proposed by the Senate Committee on Finance.
Assemblywoman Carlton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the Assembly concur in Senate Amendment number 812 to Assembly Bill number 460.
Assemblywoman Carlton's moved that the Assembly concur in Senate Amendment 812 to Assembly Bill 460. Remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It adds an extra $100,000. There's more field trips in the future for the students of the state.
Any further remarks? Seeing none, all those in favor of the Assembly concurring in Senate Amendment 812 to Assembly Bill 460 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries by a constitutional majority. Assembly concur in the amendment. The bill is ordered enrollment.
Mr. Speaker, may I do another?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Still under order of business 13, concur, not concur for the purposes of considering Assembly Bill number 480.
We'll consider Assembly Bill 480.
Assembly Bill 480, introduced by the Committee on Ways and Means, enacting criminal defense, revising various provisions relating to the appointment of attorneys, removing limitations on fees earned by certain attorneys, revising provisions relating to claims for compensation and expenses made by certain attorneys, creating the special account for their support of indigent defense services, revising certain deadlines for requirements placed on boards of county commissioners relating to the transfer of responsibility for the provision of indigent defense services to the state public defender, and providing other measures in there too. I have Amendment 803 proposed by the Senate Committee on Finance.
Assemblywoman Carlton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the Assembly concur in Senate Amendment number 803 to Assembly Bill 480.
Assemblywoman Carlton moved that the Assembly concur in Senate Amendment 803 to Assembly Bill 480. Remarks?
We agree.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly concurring in Senate Amendment 803 to Assembly Bill 480 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion carries by a constitutional majority. Assembly's concur in the amendment. The bill is ordered enrollment. Go to Assemblywoman Bilber Axelrod.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May we stay in order of business 13 for the purpose of considering Assembly Bill 67.
We will consider Assembly Bill 67.
Assembly Bill 67, introduced by the Committee on Education, an act relating to education, revising provisions relating to the suspension or expulsion of a pupil from a public school, charter school, or university school for profoundly gifted pupils in certain circumstances, providing that certain hearings and proceedings relating to suspending or expelling a pupil are not subject to the open meeting law, and providing other measures appropriately in there too. I have there are two amendments to this bill. Amendment 538, proposed by the Senate Committee on Education. That's the first.
538. Okay, Mr. Speaker, I move that the Assembly concur in Senate Amendment 538 to Assembly Bill 67.
Assemblywoman Bilber Axelrod has moved that the Assembly concur in Assembly Amendment 538 to Assembly Bill 67. Remarks?
It does good things.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly concurring in Senate Amendment 538 to Assembly Bill 67 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay.
No.
The motion is carried by a constitutional majority. Assembly has concurred in the amendment. The bill is ordered to enrollment.
May we stay in order of business 13 to concur with
You can just make the motion.
I just make the motion. I make the motion to hear us 768?
Assemblywoman Bilber Axelrod has moved that the Assembly concur in Senate Amendment 768, Assembly Bill 67. Remarks? Does it do more good stuff?
I have stuff.
Okay.
This changes provisions concerning permanent expulsion and permanently expel, removes certain provisions concerning the circumstances in which a pupil may be suspended, expelled, or permanently expelled, removes certain provisions concerning the adoption of plans and policies by school districts to ensure safe school environments, requires Nevada's Department of Education to adopt regulations necessary to carry out provisions relating to pupil discipline, and makes several conforming changes.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly adopting Amendment 768, Assembly Bill 67, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay.
No.
The motion carries by a constitutional majority. Assembly has concurred in the amendment. The bill is ordered to enrollment. Here we go to Assemblyman Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May we stay under Order of Business 13, concur, not concur, for the purpose of considering Assembly Bill 40.
We'll consider Assembly Bill 40.
Assembly Bill 40, introduced by the Committee on Natural Resources, and relating to storage tanks, revising the method by which certain representatives who are members of the Board of Review claims in the Division of Environmental Protection of the State Department of Conservation and Natural Resources are nominated, revising provisions governing the responsibility for discharges from certain storage tanks, revising the requirements relating to the eligibility of a storage tank for the coverage of certain costs from the Fund for Cleaning Up Discharges of Petroleum, authorizing the distribution of additional amounts from the Fund to cover the cost for cleaning up certain discharges, and providing other measures appropriately relating thereto. I have Amendment 811 proposed by the Senate Committee on Natural Resources.
Assemblyman Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the Assembly concur in Senate Amendment 811 to Assembly Bill 40.
Assemblyman Watts has moved. The Assembly concur in Amendment 811, Assembly Bill 40. Remarks?
Thank you. The amendment revises the method by which certain representatives who are members of the Board to review claims in the Division of Environmental Protection are nominated. The amendment requires the persons engaged in each field of expertise through their trade association, if one exists, to submit to the governor the name of their nominee or a list of names of not more than 3 nominees from which the governor shall make certain appointments.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly concurring in Senate Amendment 811, Assembly Bill 40, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay.
No.
Motion carries by a constitutional majority. Assembly has concurred in the amendment. The bill is ordered to enrollment. Under Order of Business 13, the Senate has refused to recede from Senate Amendment 615 to Assembly Bill 368 and appointed senators to serve on a conference committee. At this time, I will appoint Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson, Assemblywoman Carlton, and Assemblyman Matthews as a conference committee to meet with a like committee of the Senate for further consideration of Assembly Bill 368. Any other order of business? Any other concur, not concurs? We go back to Order of Business 12. Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If you have any other order of business 13, we could do that. Otherwise, I think we will probably go into recess.
I have no other order of business 13s. Let's see what we got going.
I think we might have an amendment. Okay. But not yet.
We have it, but you don't.
Okay, we'll wait then. We're good. So that being said, Mr. Speaker, we're going to let committees get back to work. So I move that we stand in recess until call of the chair.
You heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are in recess.
Committee members on legislative operations and elections, we will be meeting at 4 o'clock sharp. Thank you.